Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Right, welcome back to Whistleblowers. Gordon Smart here, the YTS Dan Walker. We've got the one and only Mark Clattenburg as always. All right, Mark?
I'm very, very good. Yourself?
Good, man. Yeah, I'm really good. And we've drafted in Ian Ladyman's best man because we wanted to hear from a witness to somebody who had actually seen his ponytail in the flesh. Did you ever see
we need
Ian
that
Ladyman's
photo.
ponytail? Did you remember it?
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's just vice versa. He was my best man for.
Oh, no, sorry.
He's not married yet. He's holding out.
Is he, right?
Yeah.
Was it anything to do with the ponytail?
No shortage of takers, obviously. But, he's holding out. He's decided which one of the many.
What was his speech like? What was his speech like?
There was a little bit. He got a little bit rude for my in-laws at one point. Yeah. But other than that, the thing I really remember most of all was I was standing at the altar and I had to literally go and grab him because he was at the back of the room chatting up my bride-to-be's friends all at the back of the room. And he's standing there like elbows leaning against the
Del
wall.
boy.
Yeah. And so I had to go and grab him and tell him, you're supposed to be here supporting me rather than, trying to sort yourself out for later on for the first dance and a slow dance on the dance floor later. But no, he was really good on the stag do actually. So we went to Newcastle.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Big market?
We went there and we went on the tuxedo.
The boat, Tuxedo Royale.
The revolving dance floor.
Tuxedo Royale.
Yeah. And again, my mate Trucker wasn't allowed in because he had a short sleeve shirt on. He's got loads of West Ham tattoos. So he had to borrow a long sleeve shirt, but he's so plus size, he could only do the top button up.
Yeah.
So it looked like a Batman cape.
So many people that have been on that boat. Have you been on the boat?
I haven't, no.
You come off with bruises all over your face because when you're on the dance floor, you try and get off it after a few beers and you stagger and hit somebody and then somebody just clumps you.
The revolving dance floor was legendary. But that's the whole reason I went was because of the revolving dance floor, just to see what it was like.
I should have said Whistleblowers Extra Time this week with Andy Dillon. 26 years, by short of a week at the Sun newspaper, writing some brilliant stories. West Ham fan. But you covered, I remember you doing Wimbledon as well, because I used to bump into you there.
The tennis?
Yeah, you used to do the diary, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did.
What a great gig that was.
I did lots of sports in the end. I did Wimbledon and I managed to worm my way into golf as well. Wimbledon was great, doing a diary every day and just kind of doing stuff that was just not tennis, basically, for the Sun readers, because we had a tennis correspondent, and Charlie Wyatt, who you'll know well. And he rang in one day with two separate stories. One was kind of like Roger Federer saying, my backhand is the best it's ever been and I can beat anybody. Or it was Andy Murray saying, I've had Weetabix for breakfast. And he said, which story do you want? And the voice down the end of the line said, we knew this would happen with you, Wyatt. You've gone all tennis-y. Of course it's Andy Murray and the Weetabix.
Of course, that's what we really want.
What's the matter with you?
That's what we want.
We don't want tennis on the tennis pages.
In a little while, I'm going to ask you, actually, a question about your career in football from the inside out. But before we do, we always have a question from a listener, and Stephen's been in touch. He's a Partick Thistle fan. He said, I've thoroughly enjoyed watching Rangers flounder under Russell Martin, but the whole sorry affair has made me think, are clubs and fans alike too obsessed with footballing philosophies and identities when really all that matters is getting the ball into the back of the net? Teams that win things get the ball over the line, while the teams that don't seem to be stuck on how to get the ball over the line in the prettiest way possible. So Mark Clattenburg, again, having been in the middle of teams who adopt a philosophy, is it all just the emperor's new clothes, or is there something in that?
Listen, if you look at Rangers, oh my man, they've started badly. They've got no identity. But I think Scottish football's struggling. I don't know what Andy thinks. I think Scottish football's at such a bad stage where you've seen Celtic not qualifying for the Champions League, Rangers struggling. The football's not great. But I think that's a Partick Thistle fan that's trying to rub salt in the wound that one of the great clubs in Scotland are getting thrashed at home off Hearts, getting beat in Europe, not playing very well. But what's interesting, we'll look at Russell Martin, and we've said it on previous podcasts, haven't we, that he was lucky after the Southampton job to get the Rangers job. So he was under big pressure anyways, started badly. But he's getting backed. The board seems to be supporting, even though the results aren't. So what's the board really wanting here? Are they wanting a fall guy to to protect them from their inability to sign players?
Yeah.
Or are they, hoping that Russell Martin can change magically a squad that's already poor?
It's interesting, Andy. You had a great eye for a quirky story in your time at the paper.
I like to think so, yeah.
I really admired you for it.
Thank you.
You really understood the mischief of the paper in that sense. But when Russell Martin took the players to swim in Loch Lomond this week after getting pumped at home by Hearts, I mean, that strikes me as a manager who really doesn't quite understand his playing staff.
Possibly.
Or is it the kind of bold move you need?
It's either going to really work or it's going to backfire massively.
Yeah.
We were discussing earlier when Graham Potter was working in Sweden and he got his squad to perform Swan Lake and he used to get them to take art classes. And when he was at Chelsea, he took them to an army base, which isn't particularly out there. But, I guess you get to a point where you think, you know what, sod it, I've got to try something. I reckon a swim in Loch Lomond this time of year, maybe. I mean, good job they're not deep in it in January. You have to break the ice before you get in. But, those stories are always the best stories of kind of the outlandish ones.
Do you remember any others like that?
Oh, well, I mean, the one that I did not long before I left, a couple of years back, was that I'm not sure if they still do it, but the footballers they went through a phase of, they used to like those boots that you slipped on. Yeah. There were no laces. Leather was really tough and really hard to get on. So the Chelsea players actually had a microwave put in the dressing room because there's actually cooking facilities in their dressing room, I believe. They've got a microwave in there. They used to put their boots in the microwave for 2 minutes to warm them up and soften the leather. Yes. So they could then get the boots on quite comfortably. What we didn't write was that they also used to bring the metal studs out and put the red hot metal studs on each other's hands for a laugh. But we did this story and the headline was "Ping when you're winning," which was,
good headline.
Yeah, good headline, yeah.
Did the headline come first and then the story was made up around it?
Oh, we had loads of those.
Was that in the Bazaar column?
Yeah, what was it? I think one of my news editors told me that the truth makes a good follow-up was always the motto, but always within context. But no, there were some great... I used to love all those quirky stories. I think David Seaman, didn't he do his back in change with a remote control once?
It's David James, wasn't it?
Was it David James? I can't remember David. I thought it was David Seaman. But yeah, all those sort of quirky stories I really liked over the years. Freddie Lundberg getting poisoned by his own tattoos.
I remember that.
I remember doing that story. And then there was a story that got kind of... I think you might have been on the paper at the time, got taken out of my hands a bit after. It's a bit long-winded. I hope I've got time.
Go for it.
A Sun reader was on holiday in the Black Sea when it was obviously not out of bounds like it is now. I was on the beach and spotted a speedboat going past, one of those parasailing parachutes behind it. But in the harness at the back, 30 metres up, wasn't a person, it was a donkey. So they filmed this donkey, sent it into the office, and the Sun has taken this campaign on, let's save the Black Sea donkey, whatever it was. One day I spotted, I think it was Bridget Bardot, who's a big animal rights campaigner. She wrote a small piece about it. And I was ghostwriting Harry Redknapp's column at the time. And I know that Harry loves animals. When he was at Tottenham, he used to go and feed the birds and that sort of stuff with bread rolls from the canteen. So I said to the office, look, I could get you a really good piece from Harry on this. He'll hate to see it. Great, brilliant. So I rang Harry, got all this stuff about the donkey. It's outrageous someone could treat a donkey like this. Really, really bad. He was Spurs manager at the time, and he said, you know what? Me and my mate's wife, we're thinking of starting up a donkey sanctuary. It's great. This will be brilliant. His last words to me down the phone was, you're not going to make me look silly, are you? I said, Harry, fine, Pick up the paper the next day. Front page splash, exclusive. Bearing in mind he was Tottenham manager at the time, it said, look out Pavlyuchenko, Redknapp signs another Russian donkey. Was the
Don't make me look silly.
Don't make me look silly.
Oh, that's horrendous.
So I was bricking it, and then he rang me that morning, but luckily I'd been listening to the radio and lots of people were ringing in and saying, what a great gesture by Harry and they'd seen it in the right context. So when I explained it to him and the truth of it, he actually came round to the idea a little bit and he was actually quite all right about it. But I've still got a copy of the front page. It was just brilliant. Like, watch out, Pavlyuchenko. Yeah. It's just classic kind of Sun tabloid behaviour.
I love that, yeah. All those stories, Sun newspaper beach stories are all really good. My favourite one was Gary Lineker was on holiday and he was lying there with his family at the time and he could hear the click, click, click of a camera, but he couldn't see the camera and he's like, I can't believe this. I'm just trying to have a bit of time away. I'm getting papped. I can't see it. And he could see the bush moving a little bit and he's like, he's in the bush. There's a pap in the bush taking pictures of me on my sunbed. So he's walked across to the bush, volleyed the bush, and out has fallen a photographer, with a long lens. And he's like, I'm here with my family. You just can't give me a little bit of peace. This is a really intimate moment. What do you think you're doing? How dare you? And the guy's like, John Bon Jovi. And John Bon Jovi, he's not taking pictures. And imagine all the boys on the beach like, love it. Great story.
Getting back to this point.
Philosophies.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Does all that matter getting the ball in the net?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether that's actually... Yeah, when I go to football, great. But I'm not a kind of by hook or by crook man to get the ball in the back of the net. Mm-hmm. And I think what's happening is, you'll get one team, and we all saw this with Manchester City, the way they started playing around at the back. Mm-hmm. Everybody tries to copy them without the players capable of doing it. And it's now an obsession. You're now getting people saying, for Christ's sake, just lump it forward.
Yeah.
Sam Allardyce would be so popular now, wouldn't
Arsenal
he?
scored a great Route 1 goal the other day, didn't they?
It's a long pass. It's a long pass. I can't say long ball.
Right, long pass. Right, okay.
So it's technical now.
Yeah, okay.
But, and so people, if all people went for was to see the ball go in the back of the net, win, and win trophies, everybody would just go to see Liverpool or Man City. Nobody would follow the least successful teams. I think there's a softer edge to it rather than philosophies, than getting the ball in the back of the net.
But Rangers have got that problem, haven't they, at the minute? Yeah. I think that's what he's trying to allude to, isn't he? That Rangers are struggling to score. Yeah. It's not great.
Forget your philosophy, find something that works.
You've got to... I think as a new manager, you've got to win. And I think you can get away. I think you can get away without sexy football. Yeah. At first. Yeah. And I think then you've got to slightly change. But if you try, I remember Russell Martin, for example, at Southampton. What did he do in the Premier League? Absolute crazy. He tried to play championship football, tried to play from the back, and teams just high pressed and scored, and it was terrible to watch. But I would rather see a manager come in, win ugly, maybe for the first few months, give people a little bit of hope, and then you can start to find a way to make it look good. But if you start badly, you can play great football and you get beat off hearts. You had 80% possession and you get beat. Where are you going with it?
I will admit, I'm coming from my interest group. Obviously, my job doesn't depend on winning. But it's interesting you say that because I was at Palace v Sunderland on Saturday and Regis Lebris came in and said, because they'd ground out this 0-0 draw, the goalkeeper had an absolute stormer to keep them in it. Yeah. But he actually said, you know what, he's great, he's kept us in it, and the defence has been brilliant today. I accept that's how it's got to be for a while, but eventually I want to see us get more on the front foot. Yeah. So it's almost like his team is wet cement in the Premier League and waiting for it to dry and get established, then they can take it on. So I do concede that point.
That's interesting what you said, because Ian Ladyman interviewed the coach about a couple of months ago, and he said exactly the same thing, because he was saying Premier League teams that get promoted want to try and play football, and he said, no, I'm not. I'm not going to play that route. I'm going to try and get results. And I watched that game on Saturday, Crystal Palace. It was terrible to watch. But are you as a Sunderland fan bothered about the performance?
No.
Because all the Sunderland fans I was with were saying it's a great point, and I'm thinking it was terrible to watch. They're only caring at the moment about the results. Not everybody wants to see this. It depends who you support and where you've been and how established you are. But I think, for me...
That goes back to philosophies then, doesn't it? Because the philosophy for him is, you know what, let's just stay in the division. Yeah. It's not about let's kick it this way, let's play it from the back, let's do this, let's do that. It's like...
But you as a Hibs fan, you as a Hibs fan then, what would you see? What would you rather see now at the minute with Hibs going forward? Would you want to see some results, or do you want to see great performance, or do you want to see a little mixture of both?
See, I think there's quite a lot of similarities between West Ham and Hibs, actually. There's an expectation of attacking football. But David Gray, there's a difference between philosophy and identity. And you want your team to have an identity. And I think we've got that at the moment. And that is because the manager has instilled a way of playing with quite an attacking formation, with attacking players, exciting players to watch. So, if I'm taking my son along, I want him to see some goals. And I want to see a positive performance. I think that was the problem when I'm, following Scotland for a while. There's going to the Euros last summer. I was like, just have a go. It really frustrated me that Stevie Clarke played such a negative sort of campaign. And I didn't, you've got a team full of players there that can do something. I didn't feel like we made the most of that. So I do want an identity. I'm not bothered about philosophy. Yeah. Again, Hibs. I want to win the derby and have a good cup run.
Yeah, derby's home.
Yeah. And actually, the real thing for me, if I was David Gray sitting with the players, I'd be saying, right, boys, this is the year we split the Old Firm. We'll do our best to push Celtic. We're going to finish above Hearts, but we're going to finish above Rangers this season because they are shite.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be saying.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's not about having to win a title. You've got to keep your expectations within the realms of possibility, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So West Ham, I thought, go back to 2023 when West Ham won the Conference League, they had an identity all around Declan Rice.
Exactly.
And Jarrod Bowen.
Jarrod Bowen,
and exciting players like Pablo Fornals, you know, bubbly players, Craig Dawson. I remember the banner, Ballon Dawson. Remember that when they were in the semi-finals or whatever it was? That was an identity.
So here's the thing, right? Take Pep Guardiola aside, because I think it's pretty clear that he has a style of play and a philosophy. Which club in the Premier League at the moment has the best brand of football?
I liked Bournemouth last year.
For me.
I loved Bournemouth last year.
Great to watch, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, great to watch.
Yeah.
High energy, exciting football.
Yeah, I watched them at Chelsea last year, and I watched Semenyo particularly.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah.
If they'd lost him in the summer, it would have been probably one of the disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he's great. I think Brighton have a good philosophy, and
they have, haven't they?
Yeah, I like the way the club keep going with the same. Yeah, they changed coaches, but they've kept that same, the same style of play.
Those three clubs, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, all really had an identity.
Yeah, Brentford have lost a little bit.
Have a little
bit. They begin with B.
And they all begin with B. Which is, very observant of
West Ham.
But then
that's the way. They ban.
Is Bournemouth American owners?
Yes, fully.
Yes.
But the other two aren't.
Texan, isn't
and a connection with Hibs as well.
Are they?
Yeah,
Could be the feeder club.
Well, I think that's what's going on.
And they don't Hibs.
Yeah, get them up there. Right, from the football, for football from the inside out, Andy's a section we do where, I think you've had a question last week, Mark, and you're going to be in the hot seat today. So as our guest, I'm going to put a question to you, right? You've already mentioned a brilliant story about the donkey and getting yourself in trouble, but in your 26 years at the current Bun, what's the story, the back page story, that made the biggest impact? It's hard to pick one, I know, but...
Well, there are two. It's a real toss-up. The first one was when I got a tip-off that Edu, who's now the technical director at Forest and was at Arsenal and was signed by Arsenal as a player, that he'd come into the country on a forged or a fake passport.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Big story.
And it was back in the day when the papers could spoof. Yeah. So not put it in the first edition, put it in the second edition, so the others didn't have a chance to catch up. Mm-hmm. So got that tip off, got it all firmed up by, I guess it was the Home Office who confirmed that some...
Was that the front page or the back page?
It was the back page, yeah. But of course, the next day it was just absolutely massive. Yeah. Arsenal's brand new. Shows how long ago it was. I think he was £6 million. Yeah. But the Gunners star Edu booted out of Britain because he was sent back in at Heathrow. Yeah. I think it was Heathrow where he landed. And it obviously went on for months and months and months because then about a week later I managed to get hold of the passport and we pictured it as well. Yeah. All stuff in the public interest because there was obviously skullduggery going on, trying to get him in. He was Brazilian and trying to sneak in on, or not me, he was, but people around him, or the whole deal sent around this Portuguese passport that he perhaps wasn't entitled to, if I remember right. It's a long, long time ago. But that story obviously ran. And then there was one when Rooney broke his metatarsal in the run-up to the 2006 World Cup finals. and the question was, is he going to go? Won't he go? And I got a word from in the England camp that he was doing so well they were going to take him. It was front page. I remember the headline was "Kangaroo." Brilliant. That ran and ran and ran and ran, and everybody was trying to, pour cold water. He won't go, blah 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 blah. And he didn't play the first game, and I got a lot of abuse from people within the industry who didn't get the story. Rang me up, gave me a load of abuse, so I just took it. And then the next game he came on as a substitute, and it was just the sweetest moment.
Brilliant.
That he came on, and I just felt.
Vindicated.
That I trusted my contact and stuck with it.
Best flyer that came true ever.
The truth made the good follow up, as you were saying earlier. Good
story though.
So but I always, like you say, I always loved the funnier one. The funny ones really used to, really, really make me laugh. The weird and wonderful stories, like I say about the one about Freddie Ljungberg being poisoned by his own tattoos, and a number of years ago when Chelsea played a Swedish team in the Europa League, I think it was, and the Swedish team got in the coach to go to Heathrow and then realised they'd taken all of Chelsea's balls with them on the bus and had to turn round on the way to Heathrow, drive back to Stamford Bridge and deliver this bag of balls back to Chelsea Football Club. Because those are the sort of stories you just don't read
you don't
every day.
What about a funny headline then, the best headline?
Oh, wow. There was one about... I think it was referees having they upped the fitness test for referees, so that you couldn't be too overweight. And I think the headline was "You're not fit to referee," which was a decent one.
That was most weeks for me.
There was another one when I think Andy Carroll finally scored a goal for West Ham, and the headline was "Geordie scores."
That's good.
Rather than Geordie Shores. Geordie Shores, wasn't it?
Yeah, Geordie Shore. Yeah, my favourite one was best headline ever in The Sun was about the jockey who celebrated winning the race a furlong before the finish. Do you remember that? He got out of the stirrups, celebrated, it's like, yes, and he lost. Somebody went past him. And the headline, this is genius, headline was premature jockey elation. I mean, it just doesn't get much better.
I was trying to keep it clean.
It doesn't get better than that, does it?
Good. Yeah, there was another one, I think it was Andy Murray broke down in tears, I think maybe before he played the final at Wimbledon, he was playing Federer. And the headline was "Tears Before Fed Time," which was really, really good. But I've actually got, if I've got time, a funny story about when Spain won their second Euros. It was their third major international tournament in a row, and I was in the pub. I wasn't even working, but Gordon, you'll know you can't switch your tabloid brain off. No. And so I was thinking what would be the headline if I was in the office tonight. And I suddenly came up with Thriva España because it was their third. So I just texted the guy in the office, said, look, just if you need a headline. And it made it the next day.
Amazing.
It was during the Wimbledon, I was working at Wimbledon tennis. So the next day, it was the back page headline. I'm walking in, the guy rings me and says, Dills, you were off yesterday. You didn't need to do that. Thank you so much for that. Really helped us out. So I walk into Wimbledon, like feeling a bit on air, thinking, oh, great, blah, blah, blah. No word of a lie. One of my colleagues came up to me and he had a copy of the paper in his hand. He went, have you seen our back page headline today? It's utterly appalling. And slammed the paper. So,
I don't know who did that.
I kind of dreadful, wasn't it? Half-wits up in the air.
Absolutely brilliant.
Brought me right down to earth.
The great headline ever written about you, Mark?
No, I can't remember. It's probably been lots, but they've been abusive, not some that I've done wrong.
My favourite one, it's not a sports one, but it just goes to show how the headline writers are geniuses. But it was when Oasis were at number one with a very famous song. But the story was about, I think it was a library had burnt down in Ongar, Essex. And the headline was
there aren't any libraries in Essex. Trust me, I'm from there.
The headline was "Book Lacking Ongar." I sat for ages thinking, that's brilliant.
I did have one famous chant from the crowd. And it was Bournemouth fans.
Yeah.
And I'd just come back after signing for Saudi, and I said I'd stay at the end of the season. And the next match was West Brom Bournemouth. Mm-hmm. And about halfway through the game, all I heard was Bournemouth fans singing, "You've sold your arse to the Arabs."
Nice. That's very un-Bournemouth.
It's very un-Bournemouth, isn't it?
Yeah.
After I just denied them 3 penalties.
It really forced them out of their shells. Right, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure today. Thank you very much, Andy Dillon, for stepping in this week.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Final thought on, just tell us about the ponytail. What kind of ponytail was it, Ladyman?
Right, because you got to remember it goes coupled with those kind of really awful 90s suits that everybody wore that were kind of box shaped.
Big shoulders.
Yeah, and it was kind of just a bit pathetic hanging off the back of his head, and kind of think like the suit was sort of like Don Johnson in Miami Vice.
Oh, it's getting better. Really, this is getting better.
I went to Ladyboy's 50th birthday party.
Ladyman.
Yeah, Ladyman, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just don't call him Ladyman. Ladyman's birthday party. And they had a cardboard cutout of him in the suit with the ponytail. They had it.
But they've got to have a photo, because the story is why we're talking about this, isn't it? I did the Great North Run last week, and the deal is, if I did the Great North Run, we would see a photo of his ponytail, and he hasn't found one. Last week, he hadn't found one at that point.
Well, it does exist. Don't listen to that, because I saw
if you've got it, Andy, bring it into the show, because we do want
to get a good fee for that one.
It was like the suit was like this beige colour, if I remember rightly, as well. It was just
Spice Boy.
You wouldn't forget it, you know? Yeah.
It leaves a mark. Andy Dillon, thank you very much for coming on. We'll get you back in again soon. Mark Clattenburg, great to see you, young man.
Thank you.
You know the score. You want to email us, whistleblowers@dailymail.com, and you can find us on all of our social accounts. All that remains is for Mark to blow the full-time whistle, please. Thank you very much for watching Whistleblowers. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, episodes every Thursday and Tuesday, and on a Sunday, you'll get our clip of the week.